Hello everyone and welcome to Thursday's edition of the vlog. Now this time I'm going to be doing a bit of a sort of a commonly asked questions in the reptile community. So whether it be people that have had snakes in the past or lizards or what have you, or the new keepers, which we all know, Facebook, we always see those commonly asked questions like how do I stop a snake from biting, or how do I handle my snake, how come my lizard isn't eating, all that sort of stuff. Well, I'll try and cover a little bit of it in this vlog to try and help you out a little bit and give you a bit more information in regards to owning reptiles. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. And how about we start off with, does a snake bite hurt? When we're talking snake bites, this is our Zeb Jag black and white carpet python that we got from the Wollongong Reptile Expo. Now he is a feisty carpet python at that. Now a lot of the time people suggest that is to do with the jungle gene in most of the species, due to the fact that the jungle seem to be typically a lot more of a defensive snake. But with that said, you can normally read what a snake's going to do before they actually do it. Now, a majority of the time, he is very, very tense right now and can be quite slow. So you can definitely read what that snake is going to do. And sometimes you get a bit of a jump scare at the same time. But what he generally does, and what most snakes do, is they will focus on a key point on what's going on around them. And you can see that he's sort of lunging a little bit more forward, trying to find his prime target, because he knows that that thing is the main focus of what he needs to do. And that's just basically just protecting himself from harm in any way, shape or form. He does not pay attention to the fact that I've got him in my other hand and he's just using that as a support structure. But when it comes to bites themselves, it's not that great. I wouldn't recommend it to anybody. Just because of the fact that yes, it can hurt a little bit, it can be a bit of more of an annoying thing more than anything else. But to say the least, he will still bite, he will strike, he will try and do anything. As you can see, he's quite slow now. The majority of the time he will do a couple of quick fast strikes, slow down as time goes on, but generally he's still keyed in on that hand in every aspect. And if he can get close enough to that hand to try and strike, which I think, because he is so slow right now, I should be fine and not get any sort of bite out of it. But I think it's just a matter of making sure that he is the most comfortable that he can be. And in saying that, it's going to take a lot of work with this guy. And you've got to be prepared at the same time to put in that time and effort with a snake like this, because when they get a bit bigger, it's going to hurt a lot more. But as you can see, he is still a gorgeous boy, which he just needs a bit of time and effort, basically. But time will tell with this one anyway, and we'll see how he goes. But at the moment, I don't think I really want to get a bite from him. It's quite annoying, but you never know what could happen. I might be handling him one day and he just decides, I've had enough. But you don't want to stress them out too much, of course, to the fact where he's just not going to want to be handled at all. And you want to be able to, instead of him being tense, you want him to have a slithering motion, not have to key in on certain factors such as my hand, because I tend to talk a lot with my hand like this, like an Italian, so it makes it quite hard for him to relax and settle. But it's just time, effort, and hopefully we can get into a good spot very, very soon. So a little bit more on the friendly side now. He's still a little bit tense, but slow, sudden movements you don't want to sort of stress him out to the point where he's going to freak out. He's still in that S position to a certain degree, but we want to make sure that he's comfortable as possible, which means just slight, gentle handling, and that changes the aspect of the snake. In saying that though, there's still a potential for a bite, which means you've still got to be quite careful with your movements. And what I generally try and do is make sure that you're very gentle with the snake to begin with, and that changes the whole persona. So in saying that, as you can see now, it is a different snake altogether. He's very inquisitive now. He knows that I'm not here to hurt him, and it's just a matter of how you handle the snake. So at the start, I had more of a firm grip on him, and I was using a lot of movements that were suggesting a defensive posture. Now, seeing him now, completely different snake. Yes, he's still a little bit on the inquisitive side, which means that he's still a little bit unsure, as it is to a certain degree still quite alarming, because you don't want to do sudden movements where it's going to startle the snake or it's going to change his aspect on what is going on. But the gentle movements, I'm not even pinching, holding or restraining the snake whatsoever, and it's just a matter of letting him freely go through, using your hands as a supporting structure for the snake to move along. So you can see that it's a completely different snake. It's like I've just picked up a different snake altogether and done it in that cutscene. But gorgeous snake nonetheless, and it's just a matter of patience and keeping an eye on the snake, reading the movements, and you won't get bit whatsoever. So the next topic for discussion is, of course, bearded dragons and UV. So a lot of the times people don't necessarily do a lot of research in regards to your lizards of Australia. So like this bearded dragon here is actually a red-faced central bearded dragon, and you pretty much put two and two together. A lizard is found where? Outside in the wild, where in the wild you don't have too many cover areas. You may have trees, you may have branches, you may have logs, all that sort of coverage, but in that open space area you're going to have a lot of UV exposure. So for someone like Keg here, he's going to want, say, a 10.0 or a 15.0 UV globe. In my personal experience, I have a 15.0 UV globe in his enclosure with a very high heat source, 150 watt ceramic heat globe, and that is in a glass terrarium where there is no thermostat hooked up to that heat source whatsoever. So he has the prime basking opportunity with the UV at an optimal, the heat at its prime where it's sitting at around 40 plus degrees, and then obviously he can run away and go to a cool spot if necessary. But with that said, he is a gorgeous animal and he's doing quite well. So his feeding habits generally are predominantly a carnivorous diet, and we do offer a little bit of greens from the veg garden outside, where I did offer him some basil yesterday and he took that readily. But it depends on the individual dragon as well. So with Keg, he's more of a spot a target and hunt on it, compared to other dragons where they will sort of lapse into that captive environment where they just, oh, there's food, let's just wait for the food bowl to be topped up and then we're good to go. Where I try and keep a lot of the lizards that I've kept over the years, that I keep them sort of in a naturalistic environment where their hunting is a key focal point of their husbandry. So I will have crickets in there at least daily where I offer it to him. Sometimes every second day, and I obviously don't want to get him too overweight. But as for other things like your greens, I use that as I shake, like say with the basil yesterday, I shook that branch or stem, I should say, off of the basil and just shook it around with the leaves, and he keyed into that focal point of the leaf and went straight for it. So it was like a trigger to go into that hunting mode. So there's a few different ways you can go about it, and obviously every keeper is different, but that's what I've found works with this guy and a few other monitors that I've kept over the years. So it's a matter of just trying to keep pushing that natural prey and hunting instinct to the point where they're going to have an optimal life, and it's going to be great for them, because you never know what could happen in the next few years. You may be able to breed these guys in captivity to the point where we can actually do releasing programs, especially for species that are vulnerable or near extinct. So it's all about the future, really, learning about these species and what they can accomplish in a captive environment opposed to a wild environment. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and end the vlog here. Here is Parkinson having a little bit of an enrichment and sort of a bit of a play. And he still is on the not so much trustworthy side of things, as he is a black-headed python, and they are known to be quite a sort of give you a bit of a cuddle and then go for a bit of a chomp. But he seems to be alright today, so I'm going to end the vlog here. Hope you enjoyed a bit of an informative little bit of a talk in how I perceive snakes as they can be quite bitey and how you can go about that, and a few things about lizards, UV and stuff like that. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button for me. Keep an eye out on some of the CBTV footage and material that's coming out in regards to documentaries and stuff like that. Don't forget that we have our CBTV sale where we have shirts for $15 and cups and mugs for $12 each plus postage. So get on that while you still can. And I think that's about it. So until then, have a fantastic weekend and I will see you on Monday.